Hello, welcome to Take Back Your Time, an author's guide to creating writing and publishing systems. This is the publishing track for the 2022 AuthorTube Writing Conference. My name is Katlyn Duncan, and you are on my channel right now, so welcome. I hope that you are excited to come here today to experience how systems can help you with your author business. I just wanted to say first, if you are watching this live, there will be a Q&A at the end of the session, and you can chat with me in the chat box. This is a pre-recorded presentation, so I will be available to you in the comments throughout the entire time. And if you are watching the replay, feel free to ask any questions that you have in the comments section below this video once it opens up after the live, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So let's get started. So who am I and why do I love systems? I am a former scientist. I worked as a scientist for much of my adult life, and I followed, modified, and created systems and protocols that were used in the laboratory. And sort of subconsciously, I fell in love with systems. Currently, I am a full-time project coordinator for a business, and I pretty much have taken a lot of those things that I loved about systems in my science career and have applied them to my current career. I've also been publishing books since 2013 with HarperCollins, and since 2021 I've been independently publishing myself. So that makes me a hybrid author, which is sort of a mix of traditional and independent author. So with self-publishing specifically, this is when a lot of my systems needed to be created because I was heading into a whole other world of my publishing career. I had been publishing for many, many years, and I sort of had innate systems, but I realized because I work full-time, I definitely needed to have systems in place to be able to use my time effectively. And if that wasn't enough, I love to do YouTube. I love to share my writing and publishing process along with talking about all the bookish things. And I, if you can't tell already, am a systems nerd. I love the creation of a system, especially when it's repeatable tasks that I do over and over again. Getting them into a system, getting them out of my head really helps me organize my time and get everything done that I need to get done. So what are we talking about today? We are going to cover what systems are and why you should have them. We're going to discuss 3 main benefits of systems, and I'm going to give you some techniques on how to create systems for yourself. Now, this isn't going to be a cookie cutter plan. I'm going to give you sort of the tent posts to create systems, and then you can be flexible depending on how you like to access information, what platforms you enjoy being on, and the like. Now, what are systems? According to the dictionary, they are a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. So why do we need systems? There are so many things to balance as authors. No longer are we just concerned with writing books. As self-published authors, you need to do all of the processes that a publisher would do on top of the creation. And both traditional and self-published authors need to focus on marketing and social media and promotions, possibly paid advertising. It's a lot. And I want to help you shift your mindset a little when it comes to all of the overwhelm and help ease the burden placed on your time. So instead of looking like this girl, which to be honest, I do on the regular, we want to be this guy. We want to breathe. We want to streamline, we want to simplify, and in that way, we create more. Writing is a passion for many of us, and we can't imagine our lives without it. Sure, this job comes with to-dos and tasks that aren't necessarily book creation, but you do have to do them. And even if you don't want to be a career author, you just want to publish whenever you want, why not incorporate systems so that the time you spent on your passion is filled with productive work and pushes you towards your goals? Okay, so let's talk about the benefits of systems. The first is efficiency. Now, let me give you an example here. When I first started working from home with my day job, I was all over the place. In an office environment, it's a bit easier for you to get work done as opposed to at home where you have a lot of distractions such as chores and the refrigerator. I would end so many of my days feeling stressed out, exhausted, and really feeling like I got nothing done. Probably because I wasn't making the best use of my time. Then I incorporated systems. So it was sort of a crash course in efficiency. So I created templates for emails that I usually had to send frequently with just a couple of changes. I made a standard operating procedure for my position. And I found all of these repeatable tasks that I could take out of my brain, put somewhere else, and access them when I needed to. And using this method that I'm about to outline for you, I managed to, on most days, get my work done in half the time. That is not a joke. And freeing up my time for higher value tasks and projects. And at the end of the day now, I feel a bit freer, less stressed, and more accomplished. The second benefit we're going to talk about is time management. Once you create some efficiency in your work, incorporating a time value to tasks will help you even further to give you a realistic view of your day, your week, month, year, and help you accomplish goals without feeling like you did nothing with your time. And as I mentioned, the standard operating procedures or an SOP, this gives you an opportunity to create this business plan, this business system for your author business to do some outsourcing. Now, that's not exclusive to outsourcing to another person like a virtual assistant. But once you've outlined your systems and you created a plan, you'll be able to revise that plan and figure out where you are spending your time and where your time is best spent. And then you can make the decision on if you want to outsource or not to free up your creative time. Okay, so we're going to focus on efficiency first. Being as effective as you possibly can will add more value to your time. So how do we do that? In terms of efficiency, I have 3 steps that I look at when I'm creating a system, which is to identify, create, and then revise. First, we need to identify what we actually do in our author business. Once you do that, you can create a system around those projects or activities that you're doing and use tools that actually work for you instead of the other way around. Now, once we have the systems in place, it's always good to do an audit every now and then to see if they're actually working, and that's your revision step. The first step to creating efficiency is to identify what you actually do. So I caution you not to look at this list and pick out things you want to be doing. Focusing on what you're currently doing is giving you the foundation of creating systems. Then you can use those systems to start making small changes. With that said, I tend to put things in buckets, which you will notice very quickly. And for me, it helps me take a project as a whole and break it down into manageable chunks. So this is not a comprehensive list, but it's just a starting point. So when it comes to writing, you could have systems for brainstorming, outlining, researching, drafting. When it comes to book production, either self-editing or working with editors, working with critique partners or beta readers, cover design, formatting, publishing, uploading to distributors, working on your book launch plan. When it comes to marketing, advertising, newsletters, appearances, promotions, social media. And then, as I mentioned, your author business when it comes to bookkeeping, taxes, and budgeting. So each author is different. You may be doing all of these things. You may be doing half of these things. You may even just be writing your first book, and that's okay. The publishing process in itself has a lot of tasks that you repeat. Sure, you're not going to write the same book over and over and over again, but you might edit a certain way or use a particular outlining method. Then there are the more obvious repeatable tasks, such as uploading your book to Amazon or creating social media posts. Those usually have a step-by-step process. Now, when you make your list, highlight or put an asterisk next to some of these repeatable projects, such as outlining. So if you have a specific method you use, that's something that you will repeat every time you write a book. Uploading to distributors, there's really just one way to upload and they give you all of the steps on the website. When it comes to budgeting, maybe you have a specific program that you use for budgeting or you have a set document that you budget in. And social media as well. If you create image, create, post, upload, that's a repeatable task that you can sort of highlight right away, and you'll be able to create the system faster and start seeing how effective it is for your business. So with your processes in mind, we're going to move to the create step. So the first step is to break down these activities into smaller increments. So what does that mean? One of the bigger repeatable projects that authors go through is launching a book. And I think you can agree that this list of tasks is a lot for authors to look at. It's a lot for anyone to look at, really. And again, this isn't a comprehensive list of things. You can do a simple release with just a few of these things, or you can do everything. It just depends on you. So we're going to look at this like a funnel. So the big part of the funnel is launching the book. Now we have to narrow it down to tasks. So we're going to start off with a simpler task like your media kit. Okay, so a media kit is usually a one-page document that you create, and it has all of the information about your book, which you can send to reviewers and media and pretty much anyone who wants to know more about your book before it comes out. It can also be used later on when you're pitching to do events and things like that. So let's break down some of the tasks. One thing that I love about media kits is that they have so much information that you will need during the book launch. I used to use mine as sort of a cheat sheet, a system, if you may, whenever I needed information about my book quickly. If I needed to write an email and send the synopsis, I didn't have to go through all of my documents to find it. So this is more of a gathering sort of activity where you need most or all of this information before you can complete the project. But once you have all of your tasks, one of my tricks to streamlining efficiency is to create focused environments. At least for myself, task switching isn't really an effective way to get things done. It's just too much. It takes you a while to get back into where you need to be, whatever task. Sometimes it takes longer when you shift your focus. So instead of opening 10 browsers and bringing all the information in, focus on one at a time. When you've completed that, move on to the next. So here are some environments you may find yourself working in when you're creating a media kit. Many authors put a downloadable media kit on their website to send people when they're asking, hey, can I review your book? Check out my media kit. Or, hey, let's do this event. What's all your information for the flyer? Check out my media kit. So we're going to focus on the creation of that specific document in this example. So you can use a word processor like Word or Google Docs, or some people tend to use Canva or Photoshop or any photo software to create theirs. So now that you have your tasks and your focus environments, we're going to work with some tools. So for this particular example, we would be using a web browser and a word processing software or a photo manipulation software to create your media kit. But as you can see, there are a ton of buckets of tools that you can use for creating your systems, such as distributors, different newsletter platforms, project management platforms, photo manipulation platforms, social media, and the like. So using the tools in your toolbox, you're able to create those focus environments inside of the tool. So while you're in your word processor creating your media kit, and I used to create my media kits in Word all the time until I moved on to Canva, and it's easy enough to make it beautiful and export it into a PDF for your website. So working in the word processor will give you the environment of getting everything in there, getting everything nice looking. Once that is done, you can move to the web browser and then upload. So like I said, this is just a simple process, a simple system to start. We're going to move on to a little more complex one. So back to launching a book and all of these fun tasks. Next, we're going to focus on the cover reveal. Remember, big funnel, we're launching the book. Now we're moving lower to the cover reveal, and then we're going to move even lower to breaking it down into tasks. So some tasks include posting your cover to Instagram, posting to TikTok, to YouTube, or if you have a reader group, revealing it to your newsletter subscribers, uploading your final cover to vendors, changing your Twitter header with your book cover on it, updating your website, claiming the book on Goodreads. Maybe you have a cover reveal team. So that's a lot of tasks, and it's not as simple as the previous example because now you're going to a lot of different places. You're going to be using a lot of different tools and focused environments. So here are some examples of focused environments you can stay in when you're creating this cover reveal process. So you're going to want a place to create visuals. Usually on social media, you have the cover, maybe it's a 3D cover, maybe it has a background, maybe it has a review, maybe it has a little description or a release date, anything else like that. So you're going to need to create those somewhere. And then you need a place to create the post. So I have found with social media posting, if I create all the visuals at once, and then I open up my word processor and create all the posts at once, it is such a streamlined and quick process. And I have to say, I am never going to go back to not using this system because the focus on creation of different types of things for posting, staying in the mindset of that specific task really helps you move quicker, and you're not jumping from browser to browser, losing focus. You're really staying in there. So these are some tools that you can use for this system in particular. So you can use a word processor like Google Docs, Word, to create your social media posts and your newsletter content and your cover reveal team instructions. So once you're out of there, you can go to an image software such as Canva. You can create 3D images, countdown images, teaser images, header and cover images, shareable images. And you can also, with Canva and some other platforms, you can resize. So you can create all of them and then resize them to Instagram size and tweak a little bit. But once you're in that platform, you're really going to focus and you're really going to get all your work done a lot faster. And then moving to your web browser. So if you need to email instructions to your cover reveal team and then uploading to your newsletter, then you can upload to a social media management site, or you can upload direct to the platforms. Or then you go to your website host, you put the new cover on your website, go to Goodreads, add all of that in there, and there you have a system. Now that you've had 2 examples of how to create systems, where do you put them to keep going with your efficiency? For me, it's important to have all of the information that I need in one place. Now, throughout the years, I've tended to use different processes, usually starting off pen and paper and then moving into a word processor. Or you can be a little more complex and move to a project management software like Monday.com to create timelines. Or you can create mind maps and step-by-step operating procedures in Google Docs. Like I said, I would recommend starting somewhere where you feel most comfortable. For me, I tend to do long stretches of time in different system platforms. I was really big with Microsoft and I put everything in Word and Excel. And then I sort of moved to Notion and I was in there for a while, but then I moved back because my brain is always finding new ways and streamlining myself. So just know that when you create systems, it's not always a rigid structure right away, and you really have to just find what works best for you. So here are some of my examples. So in Notion, I had created a release checklist. So as you can see, there are different triangles. Those are toggles, and they all open up to different checklists. And the arrow is pointing to my cover reveal checklist, which has another checklist within a checklist. So I would do everything for a specific task. For this instance, the cover reveal. Once I was done, I would check it off. And this worked for me for 2 of my books so well because I was starting self-publishing from the beginning and there was just so much to keep track of. Another example is a little more complex one, and it's for my automation sequence for my newsletter. So I have several automation sequences that I've created throughout the years. And I found that I could not remember how I structured one to the other. So I decided to create my own system for it. So you can see my outline, which is basically my step-by-step process, and different fonts that I use and different sizes. And then further down, I have actual templates for the emails. And in the other picture, I took screenshots of the way that my automations looked. so that I could make sure that everything was working properly, all the delays were there. I'm no expert on mailing lists. I do try my best, but this was so helpful when I wanted to create a new automation. And whether it's simple or complex, I have a really good baseline for what needs to be done. So as I mentioned, I tend to switch my platforms frequently, just depending on my needs. And we're sort of moving back to the identify and create and revise steps. They sort of work like a rinse and repeat when you're creating your systems or improving your systems. Once you have your systems in place, I recommend that you use them for a while and tweak them where you need to. You might not necessarily need all of that minutia after you've done it for a while and it's become ingrained in your being. Or maybe you need to try a different tool or automate part of the process. Once you've identified your changes, though, I would recommend changing one thing at a time. Then you can test if that tweak sort of works. And then if it doesn't, then you can go to the next change and then see what works best. You don't want to change too many things and then you still don't have a system that works and then you can't really figure out why. So then you test and repeat. Now that you've looked at how you can use systems to be more efficient, we're going to talk about time management and how understanding how long the tasks will take will overall help to free up your time to create more. For me, this was the biggest eye-opener because I always want to do all of the things and I want to do even more when I've created a system for them. But there were times that I couldn't accomplish everything. Why? Because I didn't have a clear view on how long these tasks took. So how do we determine that? So we're going to look at frequency and scheduling. Again, I like to put things in buckets. So this time we're going to focus on how often you do these things. For example, do you check your email daily? Do you check your sales reports weekly? Do you do taxes quarterly or yearly? This helps you focus on what is important when. If you check your email for 10 minutes each day using focused environments, you will be much more efficient than checking it 10 times a day for who knows how long. So at this point in the process, you've created a system. You've identified created focused environments and chose your tools. So with that in place, let's take it a step further. So I believe I suffer from time blindness. I never really had a good grip on schedules with my systems until I started to estimate and track my time. I really fought against this for such a long time because it frustrated me so much, but now that I have done it, I can't imagine getting things done without it. And the evidence was pretty life-changing for me. So for an example, a newsletter. Your frequency is bi-weekly. So here's a pretty standard task list. Now, when you have your task list, estimate how much time each of them will take. So this is just an example. Writing content may take 30 minutes. Creating and locating images, links, or videos, maybe about 20 minutes. Uploading to your platform of choice, 15 minutes. Scheduling 5 minutes. So that's an estimated an hour and 10 minutes. Now, when you're first starting out, be generous with yourself, especially if this is the first time you're using a system. So once you have all those estimated times written out, let's track it. Well, after tracking maybe 2 to 3 sessions of preparing and scheduling my newsletter in focused environments, I determined that I can cut about 20 minutes of that. Whenever I start a new system, I do my estimated time, and then I actually have a stopwatch on my computer that I press when I'm jumping into a focused environment. Once I'm done, I check the time and I write that down. The next time I do it, I track it again and again, just depending on how many times that I feel comfortable with how long it actually does take me, and then I average it. So nothing is going to be exact, but if you can find a rough estimate using tracked time of how long a process will take you, then you will have a more concrete plan that you can count on. One thing I love about this method is that, say you finish your tasks early one day, or you're waiting to hear back from a freelancer that you've hired, you can check how much time you have on your hands and then slot in some extra tasks because you know how long they take. Having documented systems with tracked time will help you so much when it comes to planning your goals, however you do that. The third benefit I want to outline is outsourcing. When creating systems, you're basically creating a manual for your business, that's standard operating procedures. As I said, when I talk about outsourcing, this isn't always a person. I understand that it's a privileged position to be able to hire someone to take over tasks, but there are other options. For instance, platforms. I'm that author who uploads direct to every platform possible, mostly because I like to learn things and intricacies, but also because I know aggregators take a cut of royalties. But I'm also not a full-time author, and most of the books in my backlist I don't have control of yet, so I have the time to upload direct. But if you're someone who uploads direct and have a backlist of over 20 books that you have to manage, that can be a lot of time that you spend when you have to, say, update your back matter and publish more books. Through creating and tracking systems, you might feel that your time is best spent creating, and the small percentage that an aggregator would take would be worth it. The same for social media management. There are a lot of free tools that you can use to upload to all of your platforms in one go. Some blogs, especially on WordPress, they have a share plugin. So once you post, it goes to whatever platform you choose instead of going to Twitter and then Facebook and anywhere else to upload your blog post. You can use project management software instead of, say, if you use Google Drive and Google Docs and everything, you can manipulate it a little differently and a little more streamlined in some project management software. Most of them are free for use. And you can also use scheduling services if you are consulting in your author business. Instead of emailing back and forth about what time works best for you to meet with someone, you can have something like Calendly that you set up ahead of time, and you send people the link once they want to have a consult with you. And then that's done. You get an email, it's on your schedule, done. So there are people that you can hire for your author business. So for instance, if you want someone to take over some of your administrative tasks, you can hire a VA. I know ghostwriting is a divisive topic, but as a ghostwriter myself, I would be doing my own work a disservice if I didn't mention it. So some ghostwriters can be used for content, and they can create posts for you, or they can write your books for you from your ideas. You can also hire a copywriter if you want someone to help fix blog posts or create blog posts for you. You can hire a book formatter. So I am an author who formats my own books. But if you don't want to learn about the process, or it's becoming too overwhelming for your business and you feel like your time is best spent elsewhere, you can hire someone. If you do YouTube, you can hire a video editor. If you don't have time to create all these images for social media, you can hire a graphic designer. You can hire a marketing consultant or even an accountant. When it comes to making things more simple in your life to create more, there's different lifestyle choices that you can make. Obviously, most of these cost money, but you also don't have to do them all the time. So for instance, when I'm on deadline, I usually don't clean up as much, and I don't have the brain space or decision-making capabilities to figure out what I want to eat. So I can either live in a mess and eat crumbs out of a potato chip bag, or maybe have someone else take over meals for a week, or have meals delivered to me, or someone prepares my food for me, or I go to the deli and I find food that's already prepared and I just have to put it in the microwave. Sometimes I'll do that for a week or so and makes my life a bit easier. If you have a friend in your life who loves to cook, pay for the food and have them cook for you. If you need to run errands, have someone like Instacart or Grubhub do some shopping for you. As authors, we tend to sit at the desk a lot. If you are interested in moving your body more and staying healthy, you can hire a personal trainer, or you can find a free online program that you can use that's already automated, or it's on your phone that you can outsource to. And again, with the cleaning, you can hire someone to help you out, or you can get a robot. I love my robot. I have a mopping one and I have a vacuum one. Believe me, it took years to get them, but they are great when it comes to just picking up daily when I just don't have the time. And also, if you own a home, you can hire landscaping services so you can spend your time more frequently writing books instead of mowing the lawn. So there are many, many different ways that you can outsource, but this all happens after you create your systems and you figure out where your time is best spent. So in summary, I just want to highlight 3 different points. So be sure to start small. Start with a simple task that you do frequently. Outline it however you need to, test it, revise it, create the most efficient way of completing the task possible, and then you can move on to the next. Have an open mind. Trying something new, even if it's a little bit scary at first, will give you the opportunity to create more books when you're not worried about all of the other things. And make sure you have fun. We're all creatives and we're all passionate about our stories. And the creation of systems will help free up your schedule a bit more to jump back into the writing and publishing. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope this presentation was helpful. If you want to connect with me or my books, you can head over to my website. Or if you want to learn more about the writing process and all the bookish things, you can subscribe to this channel. Or you can just send me an email if you want to chat about systems or anything else. I'm happy to connect with you. So this presentation will be on my channel for replay in case you want to go back and take notes. Next is the Q&A, which I will be in the chat answering questions if I haven't already for about the next 10 minutes or so. If you do have a question, try to put a capital Q in front of it so I can spot it easier. But if your questions aren't answered during this limited time, please put your question in the comments below this video after the live, and I'll try my best to respond. Thanks again to the AuthorTube Writing Conference for giving me this opportunity, and I cannot wait to check out the rest of the sessions on the publishing track. All of those links to both writing and publishing track, along with the website, will be in the description box below, and I will see you soon.